So this is going to be another open source intelligence video. And in this video, we're going to talk about an awesome tool called Spiderfoot. Spiderfoot basically helps you to automate your open source intelligence research. In other words, you can do a lot of reconnaissance using Spiderfoot. You can automate this reconnaissance, and basically it helps you to create a map of your target. This target can be anything. It can be an individual, it can be an organization, it can be a website, it can be a crypto address, whatever it is that you're trying to collect information about. So the way it works is that it has a lot of modules integrated into it, and when you perform a scan on a particular target, it's going to apply or execute all these inbuilt modules on that particular target to provide or to produce a set of results that will help you to understand more about your target, that will help you in your reconnaissance process. Trust me, it makes your OSINT job a lot easier because you have all the information you need at one place, and the process of achieving this information is all automated. So before going into the video, if you don't know what open source intelligence means, then I suggest you go ahead and watch one of my previous videos. I will leave the link to that in the description below and also in the suggested cards above. So go check out that video before you watch this one to understand what is OSINT. But to sum it all up, OSINT is basically finding information about a target from publicly available resources from the internet. There is so much information on the internet that we just ignore. If we don't ignore it, and if we carefully consider every piece of information that we have, we can really get to know a lot of things. And the art of doing that is called OSINT, which stands for Open Source Intelligence. Intelligence gathered from open source. Get it? All right, anyway, so let's jump into the video. In this video, we're going to perform some open source intelligence using Spiderfoot. And before we do that, we're going to install Spiderfoot on Kasm Workspaces. For those of you who don't know what Kasm is basically a Docker container streaming platform, which allows you to spawn up Docker containers and stream them directly from your web browser. How awesome is that? So in other words, all you need is a web browser, and you can use all your Docker images, all your Docker containers from your web browser. And these containers that you're using, they are completely isolated from your actual machine. So whatever you do in these containers does not affect your actual host machine. And when you destroy your container or your sessions in terms of Kasm, they are going to be completely erased. From an investigation standpoint, which we are doing in this video, we are basically doing OSINT investigation. This is the perfect choice because you can just create, or you can just spawn up a container of Spiderfoot, which is the tool that we are going to use in this video. You can do your investigation in that tool. And once you're done with your investigation, you can just destroy that session. And that's a very crucial thing when it comes to OSINT investigation, because in most investigations, the main objective is to keep your identity, you as in the sense the investigator's identity, private. So in this video, I'm going to install Kasm on one of my AWS cloud instance because I don't want to do any of this investigation stuff on my local machine for obvious reasons. So I'm going to install Kasm on my cloud instance, which I got from AWS EC2. And then I'm going to install Spiderfoot inside Kasm Workspaces, which I'll then be able to spawn up and use. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so this is my AWS management console, and you can see I've already created a cloud instance, and I also logged into it via SSH. Anyway, so the next step is to install Kasm Workspaces, and it's really very simple to install Kasm. We just have to execute these 4 commands. So I'm just going to copy all these 4 commands, come back to my SSH session. And by the way, if you want to do it on your local machine, on your local Linux machine, you can go ahead and do that as well. But me, I'm going to do this on a cloud instance. I'm going to install Kasm on a cloud instance. So I'm going to create a new file called install.sh, and I will just paste all these 4 commands, save that file, and then make it executable with chmod so that I'll be executed. And now all I have to do is just run that install.sh script, and I can sit back and wait for Kasm to install. All right, so it took around 7 minutes for the installation to complete, and here we have the default username and password that we can use to log into the Kasm Workspaces dashboard. So I'm going to open up my browser, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy my public IP address of the cloud instance. And I'm going to go to https:// followed by my public IP address. Click on advanced, proceed. And there you go. That's a sign that Kasm is successfully installed on my cloud instance. So I'll just use the username and password to log in to my dashboard. So this is the Kasm Workspaces dashboard. This is how it's going to look like. If you go to Workspaces, you can see a list of available workspaces. As of now, there are no available workspaces, but we'll change that. We're going to install Spiderfoot inside our Kasm Workspaces. Now, the official image of Spiderfoot for Kasm Workspaces is released very recently, so you can just go ahead and install it directly from Kasm's official registry. You can just click on it and then click on install, and that's going to do everything for you. But at the time of recording this video, there was no official image available. So in this video, I built Spiderfoot from a custom image. So if you want to learn how to build Spiderfoot on Kasm Workspaces from a custom image, watch this tutorial. Or if you just want to keep things simple, you can just directly install it from Kasm's registry. And if you're willing to do that, you can just skip the part where I install Spiderfoot on Kasm Workspaces. I have made changes to the original Spiderfoot GitHub repository to make it readily available or readily deployable on Kasm Workspaces. So you can just go to github.com/Teja156 and you will find the repository right here. I'll leave the link to this in the description below, obviously. So this is the forked version of Spiderfoot, which is readily deployable on Kasm. So all you have to do is just clone this repository. So I'm just going to copy this, go back to my SSH session. I'm going to say git clone and then clone that repository right here. And I'm going to go into that directory. And you can see there is a Docker file over here, which we're going to make use to build our Docker image. In order to do that, just type in sudo docker build -t and the name of the image. I'm going to name it as Spiderfoot and the Docker file that I want to use. And that's it. This is the command. Execute it, and it's going to take some time to build a Docker image of Spiderfoot, which can be deployed to Kasm. So once the build is done, you can just run sudo docker images to list all the images, and you can see Spiderfoot is right there with a size of around 4 gigs. So I'm going to go back to my Kasm Workspaces dashboard over here. I'll go to Workspaces and I'll click on Add Manually. I'll click on Add Workspace, and here I'll select the workspace type as container. Friendly name, I'll just name it as Spiderfoot. Description, I'll just put it as Spiderfoot, and make sure you enable it. And then for the Docker image, you got to put in the exact name that you gave for your Docker image, which in my case is Spiderfoot. And you also need to mention the tag. Since we did not mention any tag, the default tag, as you can see here, is latest. So I'm going to enter Spiderfoot : the tag, which is latest, like that. CPU cores, I'll just put it as 2, memory 2768, and we don't need any GPU, so I'll just leave it as 0. And I'll select the CPU allocation method as inherit, and that's it. I'll just click on save, and now if I come back to Workspaces, you can see Spiderfoot is now available for us to deploy or to spawn. So I'll just click on it, click on open session in new tab, click on launch session. And just like that, a Docker container spawned up with Spiderfoot running inside it, and you are able to access all of this from within your web browser. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go click on new scan, and this is where you can name your scan and you can give the target which you want to scan. And on the right side, you can also see the different types of targets that you can give. You can give a domain name, an IP address, a host name or a subdomain, subnet, Bitcoin address, email address, phone number, just a name, username, or a network ASN. All right, so to begin with, let's do a scan on my own email address. So I'm just going to name it as my email scan, and I'm going to enter my email address as the target. And below the target, you can choose different types of scans. You can do all, which is going to basically execute all the modules, or you can choose to do a footprint scan, which is going to help you to understand what information this particular target exposes to the internet. Or you can do an investigate, which is best when you suspect that the target is malicious, but you need more information, or you can do a passive scan if you don't want the target to even suspect that you're doing an investigation on them. So if you just go to this tab over here, you can see the different kinds of information or the different kinds of data that this scan can potentially produce. So you can choose which data that you want to produce from this scan and all that. And the last option that you have is you can also do a scan based on the modules. So if you go to this tab over here, you can see, as I said, these are all the different modules that are available within Spiderfoot. So you can see some of them are logged, and that just means that in order for Spiderfoot to execute these modules which have this lock icon, they need an API key, and you need to achieve this API key yourself, and you need to feed that API key to Spiderfoot so that Spiderfoot will be able to use the API for that corresponding service to query and retrieve the required data. But in this video, we're not going to, focus on these locked modules. We're just going to focus on the modules that do not require an API key. So I'm just going to perform like an all scan, which is going to execute all the available modules on the particular target and produce the data. So I'll just click on run scan now. And obviously, since we are performing an all scan, this is going to take a little bit of time because it's going to, go through all the modules, execute those modules, and produce the data. So I'll pause the video right here and I'll be back once I have some interesting results. All right, so the scan is still running. It's not finished yet, but I already have some really interesting details. So first one I'd like to go through is this one called hacked email address. And this basically means that the email address, the target that I gave in the scan, has been in a data breach, which means the sensitive details related to this email address, like password, etc., are already leaked out there. It obviously doesn't show the clear text, sensitive details over here. But what it basically says is that this email has been compromised before. And if you know where to look, you will find the details. And then you also have this one called account on external sites. So if I just click on it, you can see that it's going to show you a list of external websites or services that this target has accounts on. So in my case, my email address has a PixArt account. And then there's also a TikTok account that Spiderfoot was able to detect for this particular target. Although I don't think this is really my account. This is someone else just who managed to take my handle. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but yeah, that's not me. So yeah, there are going to be some false positives as well. The third one, WordPress, WordPress.org. It tells me that there is an account for this target on WordPress. And yes, this I can confirm is my account that I've created long back. For example, we found some external websites that this target has accounts on, and that's valuable information for us. And we also found out that this email address has been hacked before, or in other words, the credentials for this email address have been in data breaches before. They are publicly available. So that's another very valuable information. So that's about an email address scan. Now let's go ahead and perform a scan on a web address, on a website. So I'm going to start with my website, techraj156.com. I'm going to give the target as techraj156.com. And once again, I'm going to perform an all scan, which is going to basically execute all the modules, all the available modules. I'm going to click on run scan now, and this is also going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to pause the video right here and I'll be right back once the scan is finished, or at least once there are some interesting results in the scan. All right, so the scan is still running, but we do have some very interesting data here. Once again, we have this module called accounts on external sites. So it basically took the domain name and it checked if there exists any accounts on external websites with this domain name as the username. And here are all the results, and I must say all of these results are valid. These are all my accounts on these particular websites. For example, this is indeed my blogspot. Yeah, I remember doing, running this blog long back, before I think I even started my YouTube channel. But yeah, this is mine. This is my blog, and it was Spiderfoot was able to find it. And then there is a Dailymotion channel, which also belongs to me. And then there is obviously my YouTube channel, and you're watching this video right now on my channel, and it was able to find that. So if I go to this physical location scan over here, it was able to find different subdomains on my website, one of which is blog.techraj156.com, which is my blog. So that's awesome because Spiderfoot was also able to find out different subdomains of my website. And then there is two scans called linked URL external and linked URL internal. So if I just open up this internal thing over here, it's going to basically list out literally all the URLs, all the internal URLs of the target. So you can find out even hidden web pages of the target using these scan results. And similarly, if I just go back to the scan results and if I go to the external linked URL, this is going to list out all the external URLs that the target is pointing to. In other words, all these URLs are embedded on the website, on the target. And this is also a very valuable information because this allows us to make logical connections between the current target and an external resource. We can kind of pivot our investigation from the current target to an external resource that the target is pointing to, and we can unreveal more data. Awesome. So let's do one final scan, and this time I'm going to do it on a real target. All right. So this website is a scam website. It's a scam. It's created by a scammer or a team of scammers to scam people. So let's say I'm doing my research on this website because I found out this is a scam website, which it is, and I want to get or gain more information about the scam website. So I'll just go ahead, just copy this link, and I'll create or perform a new scan on this target. I'm going to name it as scam website, something like that. And I'm going to perform an all scan here. And let's see what results it's going to give you. Oh, it says invalid target type. I guess that is because I just need to give in the domain name like that. And that should work right now. Let's try that again. Perfect. The scan is running. So let's see what results it will come up with. So we already have some interesting information over here. The first thing that I want to show to you is this one called SSL certificate issued to. So if I just open this up, you can see some really interesting data right here. Did you notice it? Well, we just found a new domain name, abakisa.co.za, and that looks like another scam website that this scammer or team of scammers are hosting. So just like that, we are able to find a new scam website. From our current target, we are able to find a new target to pivot to. And also, if you look at the source data element, you can see different subdomains that it was able to discover. And one of the most interesting subdomain over here is called cpanel.victorlivestockfarm.co.za. If I just open this up in a new tab, look at that. That is a cPanel login page. And that's another valuable information for us. And just like that, we are also able to find mail.victorlivestockfarm.co.za, WHM, I don't know what that is. If I just open it up, and WHM, I don't know what that is, but it sounds like a content management system. But yeah, this is also another interesting information that we are able to uncover about the target. So I'm going to go back to the scan results, and there is one thing called email address. And it was able to pick up an email address from this particular target, sales@victorlivestockfarm.co.za. And we also have social media presence. It's going to check if the particular target has social media presence. In this case, I think it's a false positive because I don't think this is actually the social media presence of the target. We have another one over here that says URL accepts uploads. And if I click on it, it's going to list out all the URLs on this target which have upload forms where we can basically, upload files. And this is another worthy information that we can conduct more research on. Oh, I almost missed this. There's one scan that says co-hosted site, and that sounds interesting. And look at that. There are how many? how many did it say? Like 101 domains. We were able to reveal 101 similar domains which are suspicious, which are co-hosted by the same entity who is running this particular website, this particular scam website. So we can, make logical connections between our current target and these new targets, these new domains, these new websites that we were able to uncover. This is just a lot of information that we are able to reveal about the target using Spiderfoot. So I think by now you should be able to get a good understanding, a good idea about how awesome Spiderfoot is. You just saw we were able to automate a lot of tests and we were able to produce a lot of interesting information about the target and even find potential ways to continue our research and reveal even more data with Spiderfoot. So that'll be all for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did like this video, please do not forget to leave a thumbs up below. By the way, all the commands that I executed in this video and also the GitHub repository for the Spiderfoot image on Kasm will be in the description below. So go check out the description for all those written instructions and the GitHub repository. So if you like this video, please do not forget to leave a thumbs up below. I will see you in the next video. Until then, cheers.